Respected colleagues, I've examined and approved the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 9th February 2022. Any member who has petitioned to present to the House may please rise to do so. Sorry, before then, just 1 minute, or a second, 3 seconds. At the gallery, we have a Sideways Youth Parliament. Can you please rise for recognition? Can we appreciate them, colleagues? Thank you. Also, at the gallery, we have Pinky and the Brain School. We have also KC Academy. Thank you. You are welcome. Any member who's petitioned to present to the House may please answer so. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Honorable Deli.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Haruna Isa Dederi. I represent Karai Logo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I have a petition to present on behalf of Hajia Hawa Umar Abori, and it is against the minister, the Federal Capital Territory Minister, for his refusal or deliberate failure to attend to a case of double allocation in respect of plot number 1062 Dark Bay, covered by file number 11074 after several correspondences. Mr. Speaker, I seek your leave to lay the petition.
Please go ahead and lay a petition. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Kani Abubakar Fogo, member representing the good people of Shira and Giade Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Bauchi State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to table two separate petitions on behalf of two of my constituents who were army personnel and unjustly dismissed from the army. They are Lance Corporal Isa Yau and Private Umar Sadiq, whom I believe the Army Authority can hardly justify their dismissal. Mr. Speaker, I so submit.
Go ahead and lay a petition. Any other petition? Any member who has a matter of urgent public importance to present to the House may please rise to do so. Honorable Monguno.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno Ganzai, Federal Constituency of Borno State. I have a matter of urgent public importance under Order 8, Sub-Rule 4, and I'm further craving the indulgence of this Honorable House allow me check the matter immediately. The subject matter of the motion is with regard to the importation of adulterated fuel to the country with all its attendant and concomitant effect on Nigerians. That is the matter of urgent public importance that I am craving the indulgence of this House to check and to take it immediately. Thank you.
Seconder. Tayo.
Right Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, Representative Taiwo Oluga is my name. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Osun State, Irewole Federal Constituency. I rise this morning to second the motion as moved by the Chief Whip that we should take it now, and the second leg of this proposal that we should set aside the rules of the House to take it now. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion that the matter is urgent, we take it now and they suspend our rules as seconded by Honorable Tao. On the motion moved by Honorable Munguno, say aye. Against any, that's have it. Honorable Munguno, go ahead and move your motion.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, before I move the motion, I want to crave the indulgence of the Speaker in chair to also allow Honorable Ajibola Moraino and Honorable Jimo Olajide, who also have similar motions.
And maybe Honorable Tajidin Yusuf, and there are so many of them that I can mention to you who have approached.
To also chip in a word or two. In the course of, no, I'm not, thank you, sir. The urgent need to investigate the release and sale of adulterated premium motor spirit, PMS, in petrol stations across Nigeria. The House notes that recently the country witnessed a sudden scarcity of petroleum motor spirit with the attendant long queues at petrol stations, especially in the Federal Capital Territory and Lagos State. Also note that according to reports, the scarcity was as a result of adulterated petrol in circulation, upon the discovery of which the federal government ordered the stoppage of further distribution of the product. Aware that poor quality was noticed about a week ago when many car engines of motorists were reportedly damaged and consumers allegedly started arresting and suing retail outlet owners for selling them products which damaged their vehicles. Also aware that Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority is directly responsible for monitoring and enforcing compliance in the nation's downstream sector, including technical, operational, and commercial activities. Concerned that adulteration of liquid petroleum products is an illegal and clandestine practice which poses severe risks to public health and automobile engine quality, among others. Also concerned that the sudden scarcity of premium motor spirit across the country has not only caused untold hardship to Nigerians, but also affected the country's economy with the sudden increase in transportation costs, which in turn affects the price of goods and services and the loss of man hours as people are held up in fuel queues. Worried about the seeming lack of credible monitoring and surveillance system to ensure adequate fuel quality at the consumer's end and prevent undue stress to the citizenry and the country as a whole, the House resolves to mandate the Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream to investigate the release of adulterated petroleum spirit, motor spirit across the country with a view to ensuring that culprits are brought to book as well as make recommendations towards curbing a recurrence of such incidents. I so move. Thank you.
Seconder. Honorable Luke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Onofiok Akpan Luke, by the grace of God, I hold the mandate of the people of Itinan Mr. Ibom Surubio Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. I rise to second the motion on that matter of urgent public importance as moved by the Chief Whip of the House, Honorable Bungunu.
You want us to put the question? Thank you. Honorable Munguno, lead the debate.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, once again, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Marte Monguno, Ganzai Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Nigeria is known to be a petroleum producing country. And as a result of either our actions or inactions over the years, we have now outsourced the refining of petroleum products to jurisdictions outside Nigeria. And as such, it behoves on us as a country to closely monitor the quality of petroleum products that is being imported into the country. One, to safeguard our national security, because it has national security implications. Two, to safeguard the well-being of the citizenry and also the well-being of our economy. There is a need to put in place systems that will check the quality of petroleum products that is being imported into the country. And this incident further reinforces the clamor by all and sundry in Nigeria that the Wari Petroleum Refining Company, the Port Harcourt, our petroleum refining companies should be revamped so that this ugly scenario of being a major oil producing country and then import refined petroleum products will be consigned to the dustbin of history. It's an embarrassment for a major petroleum producing country like that to outsource the refining of those petroleum products to the country. And with the ugly scenario of now having adulterated petroleum products being imported in the country with all the attendant security and economic consequences that it forces to the country. So there is a need to fast track the revamping of the refining companies so that we can stop this issue of importing adulterated petroleum products. And then investigations should also be done thoroughly so that the culprits should be brought to book. And those that are supposed to do due diligence and could not discharge their duty and allow this calamity to befall Nigerians should also be brought to book. These are my prayers and these are my submissions. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you very much. Our Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I am Honorable Dr. Ajibola Muraina. I represent Barapa Central, Barapa North Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I rise to support the motion ably moved by the Chief Whip. I also want to suggest or propose that prayers be amended to include the following. One, that the committee should also ascertain whether the importation, distribution, and dispensing of the toxic petroleum or petrol in Nigeria from January to date conforms to the international standard, whether the specifications of this importation, distribution, and dispensing conforms to international standard. Two, to find out the roles played, if any, by the NNPC, Standard Organization of Nigeria, the Directorate of Petroleum Resources, the Nigerian Navy, Nigerian Customs, limited liability companies, and perhaps individuals in respect of this episode, and report back to the House within 4 weeks. I beg to propose this amendment, sir.
Honorable Namdas.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abdrazak Namdas. I represent the people of Ganyej and Tongoma Belwa from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support second the amendment made by my colleague here. So, second.
We step down the motion for amendment until we finish the argument before we get back to that. The opportunity was for you to contribute. Yes, sir. No, you have ceded that one, so. Honorable Jimbo is like, your mic is not. Is it on?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency, Lagos State. I stand to support the motion as moved by our Chief Whip, and ably backed up by Honorable Ajibola and myself, that this alleged adulterated is alleged, because we are asked to investigate. You cannot judge. This alleged
you are protected. Yeah, the motion is an allegation. We are yet to ascertain and determine.
Thank you very much,
As of now, yes, sir.
Thank you for your protection.
And that's the position of the House.
Thank you.
You say? They confirm. Is it known to the House? What are we trying to do then if it's not to the House?
It's not confirmed yet.
No, not yet.
We are investigating.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are investigating. So it's not yet confirmed. Wait and let it be confirmed. It's an allegation. And I want to say, Mr. Speaker, sir, having gotten your protection by the order of this House, I think I have the floor. I still repeat, it's an alleged, it's an allegation. And this adulteration we are talking about, by the time our committee of the House comes back and give us full report on this, we know the position to take. That's my conclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Nalaraba, doctor, we'll take two from this side, two here, and then we'll move to, so that we'll put the question. Yes, sir, Nalaraba. We have taken two from this side. I will beg the chairman rules to align with the.
The mic, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my highly respected colleagues. Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba is my name. I represent the good people of Awedo Makiana Federal Constituency. I I am from Nasarawa State. Mr. Speaker, I would like to commend the mover of this motion for bringing up this issue. Mr. Speaker, it's surprising to note that these petroleum products that have been devastating Nigerians' vehicles, and then considering the amount of subsidy that is always paid on this product, then someone somewhere will go far as bringing adulterated fuel into this country is unacceptable. Mr. Speaker, last week or last month or so, this House constituted a committee to investigate on the amount of subsidy spent on petroleum products consumed by Nigerians. Then how can Nigerians spend such amount of money for someone to go and import adulterated product and bring it into this country? A question must be asked and someone needs to answer. So, Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support this motion, and I want the investigation to be carried out immediately, because millions and billions of naira is being wasted in the name of subsidy. And this subsidy is something that is recurrent every year in, year out. And we cannot fold our arms as leaders, as legislators, to watch billions being wasted in a pipeline by an agency somewhere. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion wholeheartedly, and I'd like to commend the mover of this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dr. Michelia.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I remain Honorable Dr. Haruna Michelia. I speak for the people of Askra Ubahawul Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to add my voice in support of this very important motion and to commend the mover. And I concur with all the other people that have added their voice. My own little addition, Mr. Speaker, is that all innocent Nigerians who fell victim to this adulterated petroleum and their vehicles or whatever they are used have been spoiled should be considered in the investigation, so that the person that brought in this toxic petroleum should take the repairs or replacement of all these equipments that our innocent Nigerians have lost. I so support. Thank you.
Honorable Isiaka.
Thank you very much, our own Speaker, distinguished honorable members. I first of all want to appreciate everyone who woke up this morning and deemed it fit that this motion should come up to the floor of this House. I'm Honorable Rep. Ibrahim Ayokuni Isiaka. I speak for and on behalf of the good people, highly enterprising people of Ifo, Ewekoro Federal Constituency. I'm from Ogun State, Mr. Speaker. My first contribution this morning, how I wished I can wake the spirit of King Hammurabi of Babylon. During his days, when safety was established, if anyone in his kingdom purported, underline, to put the lives of the people in that kingdom to danger, what he normally do in those days was to take the first son of such a person and kill the person by what they call impalement. But we know that cannot happen these days again. Because there are no consequences, or we have not been following up down to the latter consequences of infractions, negligence, when it comes to putting the lives of Nigerians to danger. A lot of people are getting away with this. And Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members, this must stop. And this is the right time. Mr. Speaker, I want to draw your attention to to the fact that, assuming, which is not impossible, the so-called alleged contaminated fuel happens to be fuel QAV1, which is the aviation fuel. Mr. Speaker, if they had brought aviation fuel to this country and had been contaminated, and then the way vehicles are stopping on the road, then aircraft will now stop suddenly on air because of bad fuel. This is the time we need to go to the root cause analysis of this. And not only that, Mr. Speaker, while still commending my leader for bringing this up and every other persons who have talked about this, the originating country too, Mr. Speaker, should be held responsible for this heinous act in this country, in Nigeria. Because the only bad things they can attribute to this country is when things are bad, or when we are trying to manage ourselves. From their own countries, there was a time they brought one fuel to this country, smelling. I don't want to mention the name they were calling the fuel at that time. And the damages it caused to our people. This is another turning.
Yes, I think it's right. We should respect at least 2 minutes. It's sufficient for us to contribute, so that other people will have the opportunity to contribute. You are in leadership. I think the normal procedure is that you allow members to contribute, then we'll take leadership later. Thank you. Engineer Dawu. Can you press that request, Engineer Dawu?
Mr. President, Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Engineer Magajida Oualiu, member representing Burnukud Boji Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, let me talk as an industryman. I've worked all my life in an oil industry. Mr. Speaker, this is very disheartening and saddened. It means the system is completely compromised. There are almost 11 checks before a petroleum product gets to the filling station. First, at the importation level, where there's an international company that will go and ascertain what happened, what type of product are we bringing in, as he has said. Secondly, when it comes to Nigeria, we also test. Thirdly, at the ports, there are labs. Fourth, all the marketing companies have independent laboratories to ascertain this product is of quality. So for this to happen, it means the system is completely compromised. And adulteration can be defined in many ways. Wherever anything has been added or removed from the system is adulterated. But the cause, the implication is on us. So I feel that there should be a more powerful committee to invest this issue, because head must roll. Who was there? Who imported? Was it NNPC? Was it one of the big companies that import petroleum products, or what went wrong? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I shall support the motion.
Earlier on said 2 per row, but I will a little bit compromise to allow Honorable Luga to take, then we'll move to the next row.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues. Representative Taiwo Oluga is my name. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Osun State, Irewole Federal Constituency. I rise to support the motion. Mr. Speaker, when Honorable Jimo said it is under still investigation, that's not true, sir. The NNPC Secretary, the Executive Secretary, came out yesterday and he said precisely that the oil was imported from Belgium. If we know the source of the oil, and we know who the company that brought it in, what are we waiting for? My question now, my argument is that, what has NNPC done in the last 72 hours, in the last 48 hours? What have they done? Because we cannot be playing our lives under danger, trading everything, compromising on everything in this country. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit, sir, that the NNPC from the group managing director should be summoned, and they should come and explain to Nigerians Why we need to be gambling with our lives? Why should such happen? It is our fault, it is a shame for us in this country that we are producing the crude and we are exporting for another country to refine for us, and we still import fake and adulterated. What is adulterated, Mr. Speaker? It is substandard, it is dangerous to human. If it is food, it is poisonous. So it means they have imported something that is poisonous to Nigerians. And we cannot sit down here. So as a house, Mr. Speaker, I want to submit that there should be someone to this house, to the plenary, not committee. I don't want to go with the committee. They should come to the plenary to explain to Nigerians what has really went wrong. I so submit, Mr. Speaker.
No, sir. I want to beg that we should respect our committees. We should have confidence on our committees, on the work they are doing. And before the question, sir, TJ, I would recognize TJ because he approached.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My dear colleagues, I'm TJ Yusuf. I represent the people of Kababunu Ijumu Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, it bleeds. I feel very saddened, sir. When Engineer Magaji spoke here, he alluded to something I wanted to talk about. The layers of inspection, laboratories check, and it wasn't found out until he got into vehicles. By implication, people chose to look the other way. And unfortunately, that is the reality of our nation right now. People deliberately look the other way. Everybody's interested in I, myself, Nigeria Limited. What can I get out of this? Those men who were saddled with that responsibility wouldn't bother to even check. Because one of the things they said was that the papers, the document that came with the oil, with the fuel, showed that it was okay. Your responsibility is to ascertain and confirm if what the paper said is right. That's why you have a lab. Mr. Speaker, sir, my colleagues, I come back to the last aspect of it. How about the innocent people who go to fueling station to buy fuel? A man of 60 years, retired, has no job, is able to buy a car for Kabu Kabu that he feeds his family with. He goes to the fueling station to buy fuel of 2,000 naira, and the engine is bad. What do we have in the system presently in Nigeria? It should not just somebody say it should be the importer, not just the importer. The federal government has a responsibility because the agency of government failed in their responsibility, and the innocent people are suffering for that. I want to appeal that there should be a leg to this when it comes to amendment, that those who have purchased fuel, who had had effect on their vehicle for no cost of theirs, those who use this as a means of livelihood, those who do kabu kabu every day to feed their family are being punished because somebody wants to increase the aggregate money he will make. Don't forget, sir, it's a direct purchase. NNPC had an agreement with these companies for direct purchase. So they are entitled to subsidy. They are entitled to petroleum equalization fund. By implication, they will make humongous 3 layers of profit at the expense of people on the street who labor, who struggle every day to survive. Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal strongly that there must be a deliberate effort to make Nigerians understand that their plight is being considered as important here. Thank you, my dear colleagues. I support this motion, but I feel that we must consider those who have no voice, who have sent us here to be their voice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Oga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, honorable comrade Chinedu Oga Owen. I represent Ikweta South Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I stand to add my voice to the motion of this pure sabotage to this country, Nigeria. Mr. Speaker, there is a source of this importation of this petrol. The refinery that manufacture or ship this petroleum to this country have an address. The ship or the vessel that imported this petroleum to this country have a badge number, and we have a regulatory body, which is Custom, Standard Organization of Nigeria, and so many other agencies that satisfy this petrol before it comes into this country. And this petrol, we are satisfied by all these people before they are brought into this country. I have to add that all these agencies have to be investigated, because this problem they brought to this country have caused so many havoc, especially in all parts of the country. And this problem they have caused in importation of these fuel products have really led to a lot of problems in this country. I support that the investigation of those agencies that certify this product to come into this country should equally be put to be investigated, because they are the one that certify such product before it comes to this country. I hereby support.
I would have wished to beg that we still have not gotten into the successive order paper, and we have a lot to cover. If my colleagues will seriously would ask, so that we reduce the number of those who are interested in the debate. Maybe Abdulganiu, then we'll take a look, come back here, and then take the leadership. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Abdulganiu Johnson. I represent the good people of Oshodi Solo Federal Constituency 2. I'm from Lagos. Yeah, I lend my voice to this motion. The reason why I'm in support is that this is the time for us to now revisit the ease of doing business in Nigeria. Because of ease of doing business, some agencies, they've been excluded in performing their roles in the various ports. So I want to suggest, especially SON and others, you see, they've not been allowed to be doing their jobs, and that is the effect that we are seeing now. So I want to suggest that the ease of doing business should be revisited and allowed various regulatory bodies to do their work, because they've not been allowed to do their work. So I want to support, sir, Mr. Speaker, that the ease of doing business should be revisited and ensure that the regulatory bodies that are supposed to monitor do monitor their jobs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Luke. I said after him we'll get back to leadership. Honorable Luke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Onofiopan Luke, by the grace of God, hold the mandate of the people of Etinan, Nsiribom Surubom Federal Constituency of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to aid the views of my constituent and Nigerians in general, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Nigerians as a whole have been faced with so many challenges in the different sector of the economy, which has made life difficult, even in accessing healthcare, even in education, even in security. And today, because of adulterated fuel, we are adding additional hardship to Nigerians. And not only that, the things that Nigerians should access freely without any challenge is becoming an issue, is becoming a big burden to them. I've had so many people since day before yesterday calling me about their fuel pump malfunctioning because of the adulterated fuel. Even in the FCT here, I've had so many people who have called to complain about their engines backing up. Mr. Speaker, the question or what I want to put before us as a parliament today, that if there is any point in time, and one of the things that we must do to bring back the confidence of Nigerians in government, and most especially the legislature, is the position we take in this matter, sir. And sir, we must be able to get the people to be accountable. The challenge we have today is that we have not got people to be responsible for their actions, people to be accountable for the offices which they hold. Mr. Speaker, just like my colleagues have said, I commend the Chief Whip for this motion which is timely. But Mr. Speaker, I believe that there are inspections at the point of loading of this petroleum product. Who are those responsible for inspection at that point? Did they actually perform their responsibility? And I believe that there is inspection at the point of loading, because I don't believe that this PMS was adulterated on the high sea. It probably was adulterated right from the refinery. And so we have to hold our regulatory agencies responsible. And I want to say that this is not an allegation, sir. If the Regulatory Commission, the NNPC, has come out to say that, yes, there's something wrong, and then it's no more an allegation. That is the agency responsible for what we have faced today. So until we await, sir, while we are awaiting the position of the House, I think that is a confession from that agency, and we have to take it into consideration. So, sir, my appeal today, sir, the reason for PIA was for us to unlock the potentials in our oil and gas industry. And one of them was to get our refineries working. When we used to talk about adulterated fuel, it was because of the local refineries, unlicensed refineries. But this one, we are having a country importing into the country adulterated fuel. And so this call to question, sir, the need for us to support the agencies for the establishment of modular refineries without excusing criminality. Even the refinery or the refining of product without license in the Niger Delta that probably has caused suit in Port Harcourt is not adulterated, and nobody has complained about that. So they should be encouraged to give license for them to do modular refineries if we cannot import something that is good for this country. That's my position, sir.
Thank you. Well, respected colleagues and honorable, look, maybe special clarification. We are saying it's still an allegation because it's a matter of procedural practice. Whatever is being said outside the chambers, until our committee are able to ascertain and bring us a report, it's still remain speculative. And as of today, there is a company called Hyde Energy Limited. They have come out to call on all those who have taken their product and have this similar problem. If they can prove to them, they are paying them compensation. Here in Abuja, they are doing that. But when we are saying it's still an allegation, is to allow our committee to do their work diligently and the way it should be done. Please, and I want to beg for that understanding. Flatter, then we get back to Deputy Minority Leader to Capo, then we'll put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Samflata. I represent Berniwa, Krika Sama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what happened is not an accident. It's not an accident because under the system of DSDP, direct sales, direct purchase, the company suspected to have committed this crime or this act, MRS, Owando, Duke Oil, Mekifi are contractors under the DSDP arrangement. They are given crude and they are required to bring in refined products from Europe. Instead of bringing refined high-quality products, they now chose deliberately to bring in adulterated products through Antwerp in Belgium, and then for the market. So it's not an accident, it's a deliberate act. A deliberate act by these contractors. So part of what we must do is to reinvestigate the DSDP under which this crime is being perpetrated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Toby Okechukwu and I represent an area of Wojiriba Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, we must thank you for allowing our various constituencies to express their worries through their representatives. I also want to thank the Chief Whip, who incidentally chaired
the PIB bill that has become an act. This need to investigate the release and sale of adulterated premium motor spirit in petroleum stations across Nigeria is germane. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, unfortunately, what we have seen is that this parliament have been hired by NNPC to work for it. We are investigating the refineries that are not working. Mr. Speaker, we are investigating from 30 million liters consumption to 100 million. Mr. Speaker, we have worked on PIB, which you supported heavily. Mr. Speaker, I do not know what to say about an agency of government, a revenue generation agency of government, that has not been able to put into production any of our refineries for the past few years. Mr. Speaker, what is it? And now, like Isiaka said, to bring in aviation fuel oil, that means that it is, you want to weaponize it against Nigerians. What if these have been taken an aircraft and they burst into flames? Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what we are doing is a situation where we are heavily tolerant. They have brought in from under recovery, they are now saying it is 3 trillion that we have to spend every year. What are they contributing to the economy? And we are returning overhead costs, recurrent costs for the refineries for the past 6-7 years. Mr. Speaker, each time and every day, we will be looking for what is the challenges of security, the consequential effect of the refineries working, and then put into production is the employment of young people. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, NNPC is not doing any of this. And the simple thing, as per due diligence, to import petroleum products has become a war that we have to win. Why? A war we have to win. Engineer Magaji talked about the protocols, about 7 protocols. Mr. Speaker, is much more than that. Any production of any refinery must have to interrogate the kind of quality what you are putting out. Nigerians that have become victims must have to be restituted. They have to be brought back to where they were. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I want to conclude. And my conclusion is this, that NNPC, its agencies, who are not even or minimally contributing to the Federation account, are not fit for purpose. And I do not know why we should every day spend our man hours in addition to the consequences we are suffering. Mr. Speaker, a time has come when we have to find out whether that agency is fit for purpose. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Amendment now, the first amendment is from Honorable Maki Elema.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I'm Abubakar Maki Eleman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Malamururi Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, my amendment is to urge NNPC to suspend the 4 companies that imported this adulterated fuel that they imported from Belgium, and also direct NNPC to submit the list of the 4 companies to the Committee of Downstream for further investigation. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Seconder, Honorable Ali.
Honorable Ali, not Honorable Halims. Halims, take back your seat.
It's fairly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Respected colleagues, my name is Honorable Ari Mohammed Abdulmumi, member representing Nasrat Soto Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the amendment. Every move by a colleague and so second.
On the amendment? Okay.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Obinna Chidoka, member representing Idemili North, Idemili South Federal Constituency of Anambra State. I come under the order of personal explanation on this matter of the amendment. Mr. Speaker, what we have done today is to say, let us go for an investigation. We cannot just suspend companies without hearing from them. I mean, that will be putting the cart before the horse. So let's just go for the investigation first before we can now recommend sanctions against such erring companies. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
There can be a point of order on a point of order until after a ruling. And it is true that when you are going for investigation, no, sir. You see, it is about our procedure. Well, it's not for me to decide for the chair. It's for the parliament to decide. Thank you. Please, those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. I have another amendment from Honorable Ajibola Moreno. Please, clerk, get them to come and help us.
Thank you very much, our Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I most humbly propose additional 2 prayers to the main prayer contained in the motion as moved by the Chief Whip. I propose the additional 2 prayers as follows. 1, that will be number 2 now, that the Committee on Petroleum Downstream should ascertain whether the Nigerian specification in respect of the importation, distribution, and dispensing of the alleged toxic petrol in Nigeria from January till date comply with international standard. 3, to investigate the roles played by the NNPC Limited, Standard Organization of Nigeria, son, Nigerian Customs Service, Nigerian Navy, any other relevant government regulatory agencies, limited liability companies, and even individuals in this unfortunate episode. I so propose these amendments. Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues.
Seconder. Yes, sir. See, you press it to work. Press the request again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent the Lagos Midland Federal Constituency. I stand to second the motion as moved by Honorable Ajiwala Muraid.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Saka say you have an amendment you have to take care of.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Ibrahim Isaka, for Federal Constituency. Just I rightly espoused initially during my contribution that we should not limit this investigation because when you say fuel, petrol, there are other major 13 byproducts being imported at the time into the country. So by extension, I want to amend by saying that the committee should obtain immediately the certificate of quality control of all imported petroleum products. So that's not only fuel this time around. When we say petroleum products, we have captured kerosene, aviation fuel, diesel, and every other. Because when you have these ships coming to the country, the compartment is not taking only petrol, so that we should get the quality control certificates of all the fuel imported into the country in the last 3 months. I so move, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Seconder. Honorable Goni.
I represent Kaura Federal Constituency. I come from Kaduna State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Isiaka. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as another amendment? Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Nalaraba. After speaking in favor. Yes, the next point of order is from Honorable Kalu. I've please pleaded with you to make very straight, abridge what you have so that we can move into the next item. Please.
Thank you, Your Excellency, most distinguished Speaker, and honorable members. My name is Benjamin Okezie Carlo. I represent the good people of Nigeria, starting from Ben, the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm from Abia State. I rise under 8 Rule 4 to move a motion of urgent national importance on the need to address the adverse health, safety, and socio-economic effect of the incessant leakages and explosions from oil fields in the country. Praying that the House will allow this motion to be taken immediately by suspending the relevant rules. I so move.
Yes, sir. My brother from Ogun.
Speaker, distinguished colleagues, Olumide Oshoba, representing Abeokuta North, Obafemode, and Odeda Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Benjamin Kalu on the need to address the adverse health and safety, socio-economic effects of existing leakages and explosion from oil fields in the country. I so second.
Those in favor that the motion is urgent and we suspend our rules to take the matter now, say aye. Against, say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Kalu, go ahead and present your motion.
Thank you, distinguished Speaker. The House aware that an aging tanker built in 1976 with capacity to process 22,000 barrels per day and also inject up to 40,000 barrels with water per day exploded at Obokiti Field in Delta State and caught fire before sinking off the coast of Nigeria on Wednesday, February 2nd, 2021, with 10 people working aboard the vessel reported missing and presumed killed. The House is also aware that gas leakages following an explosion on the Adriatic 1 rig, owned by Corn Oil and situated off the Atlantic shores in Sagana, had earlier occurred on October 31st, 2021, thereby enabling gas to flow uncontrollably and directly into the communities and surrounding rivers for over 3 weeks. Further aware that in 2027 and 2020, similar things took place in Brass local government, where destruction of aquatic lives took place, and also the community's life was affected. We also concerned that apart from destroying the ecosystem and killing the fishes in the affected places, it is claimed that the health challenges associated with these leakages and explosions are enormous, and the true picture could only be ascertained through adequate laboratory examination. The House is concerned that the report from the International Center for Investigative Reporting have claimed that the explosion alongside many others in the oil-rich Niger Delta region of Nigeria are not unconnected with poor operational safety standard of the vessels and oil facilities. Equally concerned that in a reaction to the incident that occurred in Otua Field, located near Sagama in Brass local government of Bayelsa State on the 2nd of December 2020, the Director General of the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, berated oil companies for operating in breach of regulatory and safety guidelines. The House is disturbed that findings show that while some oil companies have been previously sanctioned by NOSDRA for degrading the environment, directives given to these companies to contain oil spill by shutting the field down and replacing leaking pipelines are falling on deaf ears. The House is disturbed that further findings have revealed that even though the major causes of these leakages may have been known to, among other factors, result from pressure underwater pipeline that create bubbles on the water surface, the continuous and uncontrolled leakages from the oil fields depict companies operating with total disregard to human and environmental safety. The House is further disturbed that the lackadaisical response of most oil companies to incidents of constant leakages and fire outbreaks from explosion does not only undermine the effort of government to provide safety, healthy, and a clean environment for Nigerians, but also the ideals of corporate social responsibility of companies. Therefore, the House hereby resolves to mandate the Committees on Safety Standards and Regulations and Upstream Petroleum to investigate the issues of incessant leakages and explosions from oil fields with particular reference to A, safety and regulatory standard, and B, ascertaining the cause and extent of gas leakages in order to forestall further occurrences, while also exploring efforts to address environmental degradation in affected areas. And finally, urge the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development and National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately provide relief materials to the affected areas. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
I thought this is a very straightforward motion. I haven't spent so much on the first matter. I will amendment. I hope we are not going to water down the motion. Okay. Second first before the Honorable Maki.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues. I'm Abubakar Maki Eldeman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Manamuduru Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleague. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Amendment, Abente.
My distinguished colleagues, mine is a very simple and harmless amendment just to include the Committee on Maritime Safety and Education. Why? The facility in question is a vessel.
You are just by standing order supposed to move for amendment, not to converse for it.
Okay, I felt that it would have been necessary to let some members know the reason why.
Any seconder to the
Thank you.
amendment. Honorable Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Kola Oletayo. I rise to second the motion as moved by my colleague. The motion of amendment.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Mama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Ifeanyi Chudimoma, speaking for Ihiala Federal Constituency, I want to amend that the House Committee on Gas Resources should also be included. I so move. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
He for she.
Oh, no.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, honorable colleagues. Vincent Ekene Ofumelu, Oyiyaya Memu, Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion, the amendment as moved by Honorable Ifeanyi Chudimoma. I so second. Mr.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. That's a bit. For the amendment.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, distinguished colleagues. I would like to add Committee on Host Communities. They're very important in this motion. So host communities should be added to this. Thank you.
I hope you are taking cognizance of the number of committees you are putting. And by the time you have the entirety of the committees, I don't know how many hundred you are going to have that will do the job. Any secondary to amendment? Yes, sir.
Don't worry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name remains Honorable James Adisawolabi, representing the good people of Ifakoja in Lagos State. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by my honorable colleagues. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Respected colleagues, the first business of the day is presentation of report of the Committee on Ecological Fund on a bill for an act to establish the regulation of ecological funds to address Nigeria's ecological challenges, particularly erosion, landslide, desertification, floods, oil spillage, drought, etc., and for related matters. All members will recall that the bill was referred to the committee on Wednesday, 1st July 2020. The report is ready for presentation. Honorable Shaka is invited to present the report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished honorable members, Ibrahim Ayokunle Isiaka. I represent the very good people of Ifo, Ewekro Federal Constituency. I'm from Ogun State, Mr. Speaker, and distinguished honorable members. I rise with the leave of the House and your permission, Mr. Speaker, to allow me to present the report of the House Committee on Ecological Fund, a report of a bill for an act to establish the regulation of ecological funds to address Nigeria's ecological challenges, particularly erosion, landslide, desertification, flood, oil spillage, drought, etc., and for other related matters. I seek your permission, Mr. Speaker, to allow me to lead the report. Thank you, sir.
Seconder. Yes, sir. Halims.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, Abdullah Ibrahim Halims is my name, from Kogi State, representing the good people of Ankpa, Omala, Lamboro Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion as moved by Honorable Shaka Ibrahim. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Shaka, go ahead and lay your report. Honorable colleagues, the second business of the day is presentation of two reports of the Committee on Popular Petitions standing in the name of Honorable Jerry Alagboson. Honorable Alagboson is invited to present the reports.
Mr. Speaker, okay, Honorable Jerry Alagboson is not on the floor, but his deputy can present the report on his behalf.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Haruna Isa Dederi. I represent Kala Rogo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm from Kano State. I rise, Mr. Speaker, holding the brief of Jerry Alagboso to present two reports of the Committee on Public Petitions. First, Mr. Speaker, that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Public Petitions on the petition by Birom Educational and Cultural Organization, BECO, against the National Population Commission on the exclusion of customary landowners who are presently internally displaced persons and the legitimization of forceful occupation, seizure of homes and lands in Bariki Ladi/Rio. And second, that the House do receive the report of the Committee on Public Petitions on the petition by the Coalition of Parents of Foreign Trained Medical Doctors who sat for assessment examination conducted by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, MDCN, held on 24th to 25th November 2021 at the Usman Danfodio University Teaching Hospital, Sokoto. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Musa Umar Garu, member representing Gorzako Federal Constituency from Kano State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Barisa Isa Dediri. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Deputy Chairman, go ahead and lay a report. Respected colleagues, the first order of the day is consolidation of two bills. All members may wish to know that the bills are of the same subject matter. I now invite the Chairman Committee on Rules and Business to move that the bills be consolidated.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Benio Krika Samaguli Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move for the consolidation of these two bills as follows. A bill for an act to amend the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 to prohibit the discrimination against widows and all forms of repressive and degrading widowhood practices and for related matters, House Bill 1804. Two, a bill for an act to amend the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 to make provision for the definition of the offenses of image-based sexual abuse under the Act and make provisions for penalty for offenses of image-based sexual abuse and for related matters, House Bill 1804. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder, Chairman, Foreign Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Yusuf Buba Yakub. I represent Gombe Home Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable Flatter that the bill be read for second time. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Committee on Rules and Business, please schedule a date for the commencement of the debate on the general principle of the bill. Respected colleagues, the second order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, BND, Abia State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration, and for related matters, standing now Honorable Benjamin Ozikalu, Okezikalu. All members will call that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 14 July 2021, and now invite the local to move that the bill be read the second time.
Most distinguished Speaker, honorable colleagues, I represent Benjamin Okezie Carlo, representing the people of Nigeria, starting from Ben, the federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Abia State. I rise to move that this all-important bill for the establishment of Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, Itembende, Abia State, to make provisions for each due management and administration and for other related matters be read the second time. I so move that this House will consider this bill, which has only 29 sections. Time would not allow me to go through all the things on the lead debates. For want of time, I ask that this be seconded for us to go ahead. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Akin Alabi. I represent the good people of Egbedona Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Benjamin Okezie Carlo. As a second, Mr. Speaker, thank you.
I guess this is a very straightforward bill. So I now put the question. Those in favor that the bill be read second time, say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal University of Medical and Health Sciences, BENDE, Abia State, to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Health Institutions. The third order of the day is commencement of the debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the Federal Road Safety Commission Inspector Training School as a higher national diploma awarding institution to provide academic and professional training and for related matters, standing now Honorable Akin Folari Moyowa Samuel. All members recall the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 5th October 2021. Now I invite Honorable Akin Folari to move that the bill be read a second time.
Honorable members, my name is Akin Folari Mayowa Samuel. I represent Ileoluji Okegbo, Odigbo Federal Constituency. I am from the Sunshine State, Ondo. I rise on behalf of members of Federal Road Safety Commission Committee to move that a bill for an act to establish Federal Road Safety Commission Inspectorate Training School as a higher national diploma awarding institution to provide academic and professional training and for related matters be read the second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I am Honorable Kunle Olaruwaju Ibrahim. I represent the entire people of Mobaido Ilejimeji Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my brother and colleague. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Respected colleagues, it's a very straightforward bill too. So I now put the question. Those in favor that the bill read second time say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title for the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal Road Safety Commission Inspectorate Training School as a higher national diploma awarding institution to provide academic and professional training and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Federal Road Safety Commission. My respected colleagues, the fourth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to repeal the Patent and Designs Act P2 Laws Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Patents and Designs Bill to provide for the protection of invention and related matters, standing in the Honorable Oluka Taiwo. All members recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 13th October 2021, and now invite Honorable Taiwo to move that the bill be read second time.
So, Speaker, Honorable Taiwo Oluka is not on the floor. I move that the second reading of the bill is stepped down by the leader of the House. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Second reading of the bill stepped down by the leader of the House. The Speaker, the fifth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Animal Husbandry, Kawoje, Kebbi State, and for related matters, standing in the Honorable Bello A. Kawoje. All members recall the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 30 November 2021, and now invite Honorable Kawoje to move that the bill be read second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Bello Kaoje. I represent the good people of Bagudo and Suru Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kebbi State. I rise to move the bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Animal and Husbandry, Kaoje, Kebbi State, and for related matters, HB 1750. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Bado Ahmed Yusuf, member representing Shano Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kano State. I stand to second the bill heavily raised by my honorable colleague. I so second.
Respected colleagues, this is a very straightforward bill. Those in favor that the bill be read second time say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Animal Husbandry, Kaoje, Kebbi State, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. My respected colleagues, the sixth order of the day is commencement of a debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended to make provisions for inclusion of women, youth, and persons living with disability in political appointments at the federal, state, and local and state levels, and for related matters standing in the name of Honorable Kabir Ibrahim Tukura and two others. Honorable members will call that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 18 March 2020. I now invite Honorable Tukura to move that the bill be read the second time. Honorable Kabir, not on the floor. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Respected colleagues, I remain Kabir Ibrahim Tukura, member representing Zuru, Faka, Edanko, Sago, and Sakawa Federal Constituency. I rise to seek this Honorable House permission to read the bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended to make provisions for inclusion of women, youth, and people living with disabilities in political appointments at the federal and state levels, and for related matters, for the second time.
Any seconder? Yes, my brother from Kaduna.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. I am Mukhtar Shehuladan. I represent Makarfi Kudam Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my respected colleague, Honorable Kabir Tukura. I so second.
Respected colleague, do you put the question? That the bill be read second. Those in favor say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title for the bill.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended to make provisions for inclusion of women, youth, and persons living with disabilities in political appointments at the federal and state levels and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to the Committee on Special Ad Hoc Committee on Review of the 1999 Constitution. My respected colleagues, the seventh order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to provide legal framework for establishment of National Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Robotic Studies, ABAC, Akwa Ibom State, and for later matters, standing in the name of Honorable Anikam Omana. Honorable members will recall the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 9th November 2021, and now invite Honorable Omana to move that the bill be read second time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Aniekan Umana, member representing the unique people of Abak, Itimekbo Ika Federal Constituency from the vibrant state of Akwa Ibom. Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that this very important, novel, and technologically driven bill for an act to provide a legal framework for the establishment of a National Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Robotic Studies in Abak, in the vibrant state of Akwa Ibom, and for related matters, HB 1648, be read for the second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Ukondukwe Nkole, Fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners. I represent Aruchukwu-Afia Federal Constituency. I'm from Abia State. I rise to second the second reading of the bill as moved by my brother. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor that the bill be read second time say aye. Those in favor say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Right, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide legal framework for establishment of National Institute for Artificial Intelligence and Robotic Studies, ABAC, Akwa Ibom State, and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to Committee on Information Technology. My respected colleagues, the eighth order of the day is a motion on the urgent need to extend the railway train services to Malam Madori, Kaugamal Federal Constituency of Jigawa State. Standing in the Honorable Abubakar Maki Eleman, Honorable Eleman is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honorable colleagues, I remain Abubakar Maki Eleman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Malamudori Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I raise to move a motion that needs to extend railway train station in Malamudori Kaugama Federal Constituency of Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues should note that the Federal Ministry of Transport and the Nigerian Railway Corporation in particular are responsible for overseeing and administering all matters related to railway transport. The House also notes that the federal government has performed meritoriously in the area of railway transport by acquiring new and faster trains, building new rails, and more modern train service stations. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, may further note that Malamudori Kaugama Federal Constituency is one of the locations with rail lines which led to Kano State and other areas. Those, its economic importance cannot be overemphasized, as it has been a major route for trade and supply of goods to and from Jigawa State. My honorable colleagues, the concern here is, despite being a major route for transportation of goods and services, the rail system in the area is almost non-existent, as sometimes the train passes only once in a week, prevailing the people from engaging in economic activities. Cognizance of the need to include Malamudori Kaugama Federal Constituency in the federal government standard gauge railway and improve the rail transport system in the area. Worried that being an agrarian community, the constituency lacked a viable means for farmers to transport their agricultural produce to market within and outside Jigawa State. Resolved, urge the federal government to include Malamudori Kaugama Federal Constituency of Jigawa State in the National Gauge Railway and restore train services in the area. Mandate the Committee on Land Transport to ensure implementation. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Chairman, Agricultural.
My name is Munir Babatan Agundi. I represent Kumbota Federal Constituency of Kano State.
Is the first wife or second wife?
Come again. No, one and only. I have only one wife. Yes, for now.
The leader of the house will not hear you.
So my name is Munir Babata Agundi. I represent Kumbota Federal Constituency of Kano State. I hereby second the motion on the urgent need to extend railway train services to Malamadori, Kaugama Federal Constituency of Jigawa State. I hereby second the motion as ably read by my brother, Honorable Mikey L. Lehman. So second.
Respected colleagues, this is an infrastructure related motion, so I don't put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. The ninth order of the day is a motion on need to eradicate the practice of female genital mutilation in Nigeria. Standing in Honorable Ganiu Abiodun Johnson. Honorable Johnson is invited to put the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable members. My name is Abdugani Johnson. I represent the good people of Oshodi Solo, Federal Constituency 2. I'm from Lagos. I rise to move a motion on the need to eradicate the practice of female genital mutilation in Nigeria. The House knows that in 2003, the United Nations, while observing the need to eradicate the practice of female genital mutilation, declared February 6th annually as an International Day for the Eradication of Female Genital Mutilation. Also note that the move was designed to create global awareness on the dangers of female genital mutilation and drum support for the protection of the physical and mental health of women and girls. Aware that female genital mutilation comprises of all procedures that involve altering or injuring the female genitalia of non-medical reasons, and it is recognized internationally as a violation of the rights and health of women and girls. Cognizant of the dangers which the unwholesome practice portends for the health and well-being of women and girls, ranging from urinary tract infection, infertility, hepatitis, and other blood-borne diseases. Further note that female genital mutilation is an act of violence against women and girls
and amounts to violation of the Violence Against Person Prohibition VAPP Act 2015. Worried that about 20 million girls and women in Nigeria and 20% of Nigerian women aged between 15 to 49 years are reported to have undergone female genital mutilation in Nigeria. Cognizant that the United Nations report published in 2020 reported that Nigeria ranked the third highest number in cases of female genital mutilation in the world. The House resolved that 1. Commemorate the 2020 International Day of Female Genital Mutilation with the theme Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. 2. Urge on the Minister of Women Affairs and the National Orientation Agency to organize nationwide sensitization programs discouraging the practice of female genital mutilation. 3. Mandate the committees on women affairs and social development, information, national orientation, ethics, and values to ensure compliance and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. Thank you very much, sir.
Seconder, Honorable Zakari Galadima.
Okay, that's not your seat. Go back to your seat.
I thought that is Kumo's seat. Is that your seat or Kumo's seat? Is that your seat?
It's my seat, huh? Mr. Speaker, my name is Zakaria Ogaladima, member representing the people of Jakusko. I'm from Yobe State. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the motion as heavily moved by my honorable colleague. I so second.
Honorable Ganiu, this is a very good motion, attempting to address one of the main issues within our society, but I expect we'll put a question, but understand that motions are persuasive, and I will advise that you can come up with a bill. That does not stop us putting the question on this one, but the appropriate way to address is through bills or Act of National Assembly. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's it. Thank you. The 10th order of the day is motion on need to establish a police division in Kudan, Logam area of Kaduna State. Standing now, Honorable Mukhtar Shehu Ladan. Honorable Ladan is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my respected colleagues. I am Mukhtar Shehu Ladan. I represent Magarfi Kudan Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. I rise to move a motion on the need to establish a police division in Kudan local government area of Kaduna State. The House notes that several communities across Kudan local government area are under severe attacks by bandits, resulting in loss of lives and properties. Also note that in the last few months, most communities in Kudan local government area cannot comfortably go to farm as bandits frequently kill proactively. Concerned that the killings have continued despite efforts by the federal and state governments to curtail the situation. Alarmed at the constant invasion of communities by bandits who maim, kidnap, brutalize, and kill their victims. Hence, the ferocious dimensions has turned indigents and residents to destitutes in their ancestral homes. Disturbed that the unknown gunmen, heavily armed with rifles and other dangerous weapons, launched an attack on unsuspicious victims while sleeping at night. Worried that some of the villages in Sabangari, Hunkui, Lukoro, and Kudan are presently living in perpetual fear of being attacked by bandits. Cognizant that if the nefarious acts by the bandits are not checked, it will paralyze commercial and trade activities in the local government area. Resolved to 1, urge the Inspector General of Police to urgently intervene and direct adequate deployment of security personnel in the affected communities for the protection of lives and property, fish out the perpetrators and their sponsors, and prosecute them accordingly. 2, to also urge the Nigerian Police Trust Fund to rehabilitate the abandoned police divisional office in Kudan town. 3, mandate the Committee on Police Affairs to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I so move.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Shehu Balarabe is my name. I represent Brunungwari Giwa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Kaduna State. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by my dear colleague, brother, and friend, Honorable Mukhtar Ladan from Kaduna State. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. Respected colleagues, the 11th order of the day is consideration of a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Education, ANCPA, to take over the assets of and liabilities, including staff of Kogi State College for Education, ANCPA, to provide for training and teaching instructions in every aspect of education and such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of education in Nigeria, matters of administration, discipline of students, and for the matters. Honorable members recall that the bill was committed to committee of the whole on Wednesday, 14 July 2021. The leader will move for its consideration.
I represent Marte Mongunonganza Federal Constituency of Borno State. I hereby move that a bill for an act to establish Federal University of Education, ANFA, to take over the assets and liabilities, including staff of Kogi State College of Education, ANFA, to provide for training and teaching instruction in every aspect of education and such other fields of applied relevant to the needs.
Honorable Chidoka, go back to your seat. Go back to your seat. Obey the rules. Honorable Chidoka, go back to your seat. Go back to your seat.
Respect the seat. Respect the chief whip. Respect the chief whip.
I'm not Punctus official. Mr. Speaker, if I can crave for your indulgence to take all the matters that are for consideration at once. Okay, sir. Then the second one is for a bill for an act to establish National Agricultural Trust Fund for the purpose of providing funding for agricultural development in Nigeria and for related matters also be considered in the Committee of the Whole. Then a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Education, Birnoa, Jigawa State, and provide full-time courses teaching, instruction and training in technology, applied sciences, art, social sciences, humanities and management, and for related matters should also be considered in the committee of the whole. And then the last but not the least, a bill for an act to repeal the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Act 2010 and enact the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Bill to, among other things, expand the jurisdiction of the area courts to entertain both civil and criminal matters and correlated matters be also considered in the committee of the whole. I so move.
Honorable Buba. Press the request again, Honorable Buba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Yusuf Buba Yakub. I represent Gombe Home Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. I rise to second the motion moved that
Federal constituency, I to second the motion for the consideration of report by the Committee on Foreign Affairs as moved by the Chairman of Committee on Foreign Affairs, Honorable Yusuf Buba Yakub. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. The 17th order of the day is consideration of two reports of the Committee on Health Institutions. Honorable Pascal Obi will move for their consideration.
Mr. Speaker, as usual, Honorable Pascal Obi is not on the floor.
But what about his deputy?
I want to crave your attention, Mr. Speaker, that also item number 18 be stepped down by the leave of the House because the chairman has not always been around to present his things for consideration. That's all, Mr. Speaker.
Item 17 and 18 stepped down by the leave of the House. Leader, move that the House do resolve the Committee to consider reports.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tari Monguno. I represent Martin Monguno, Ganze Federal Constituency for the State, acting leader of the House. I hereby move that the House do resolve your Committee of the Whole to consider reports.
Acting Minority Leader.
Something is wrong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Gideon Gwani. I represent Kaura Federal Constituency. I come from Kaduna State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion that this House do resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole to consider the reports as moved by the acting leader.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. House is hereby to resolve into Committee of the Whole to consider report. Respected colleagues, the first bill to be considered is for an act to establish Federal University of Education, ANCPA, to take over the assets and liabilities, including staff of Kogi State College of Education, ANCPA, to provide for training, teaching, instructions, in every aspect of education and such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of education in Nigeria, matters of administration and discipline of students. And for that matter, now invite the leader to give the synopsis of the bill.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, this is a bill from the Senate, and it essentially seeks that the Federal College of Education, ANCPA, metamorphose into a University of Education, ANCPA, through the instrumentality of the law. That is what this bill seeks to do. And I invite my colleagues to approve same in the Committee of the Whole.
Colleagues, clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Clause 11, clause 12, clause 13, clause 14, clause 15, clause 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, clause 21, clause 22, 23, 24, 25, 7 plus 28 plus 29, 30, 31, 'the schedules. Explanatory memoranda, long title. The Speaker is the second bill to be considered if an act to establish agricultural development fund for the purpose of providing funding for agricultural development in Nigeria and for this matter. Now invite the leader to give the synopsis.
Honorable Chairman, honorable members, I remain Mohammed Tar Mongono. I represent Marke Mongono, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. This bill is a recommittal from the House, and it essentially seeks to create an agricultural development fund for the funding of the agricultural sector against the backdrop of the importance and pivotal role that agriculture plays in our economy, of contributing about 70% of our employment and 40% of our gross domestic product, and having also regard to the paucity of funds when it comes to funding agriculture through the national budget. So this bill seeks to create a vista of opportunities for funding agriculture through the creation of an agricultural development fund. Thank you.
Thank you. Clause 1. 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, this is something very critical to the sector and to the country and even to this chamber. We'll need to look at this bill because it's the Senate that have sent it for us to look at it. I want us to look at these sources of the funding. It is very important so that we don't make mistakes in the initial setting up of this other commission or funding structure. They said number 1.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
It's not a Senate bill, it's a recommitted, it's a House bill. Look at the HB 383. It's a House bill.
Okay, recommitted. Okay, okay. So I just want to add that 0.5% of the natural resources fund, the profit tax. Where do we have interventions from central bank? There is nothing coming from the central bank. We need to look at it and see, because a lot of money is coming from central bank in the agri sector. So if this is a very important bill for the country, but we need to ensure that the sources of funding must be well properly placed. So I think there should be room for central bank to contribute money to this funding instead of what is happening, Mr. Chairman. The central bank is doing the work of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and other related agencies. So, but this funding can go straight to where it is necessarily needed. So instead of throwing the money here and there, so let it be part of this funding so that we can focus on either research, on either processing, on either production in the sector, so that we will be well focused. This is my observation.
Well, sir, while appreciating your own contribution as to diversifying our own sources of funding, but I also differ as to including central bank to be part of the funding, because central bank main function, if you look at it, it's not a revenue generating agency. Let alone to say, okay, we are going to take certain percentage.
No,
but it's an intervention. And in an intervention agency, you cannot specify because you do not know the indicators. And that's why they have to stand alone to be doing their intervention where necessary. They cannot be asked to give percentage. Percentage of what? When money printed? By their functions, sir.
I think, Excellent Mr. Chairman, they have what you call social responsibility on different sectors, and that is why they intervene. So,
That's why they will only come through intervention. It's intervention, sir. You can't specify an amount because except you are asking them not to be printing money at the end of every year, which is going to affect the economy negatively. Yes, sir.
Item B has covered his peers. It says any take-up grant and special intervention fund as may be provided by the federal, state, and local governments.
Chairman.
Let's carry 2 first before going to 3. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency, Lagos State. Under the item 2, sources of development funds, I have a grouse on the federation accounts of 0.5. I think we have to have a second thought on this. Taking 0.5 on federation accounts, we include money that is accrued to local, state, and federal government.
Why I will go with this, sir, I beg to. First, food security should be a concern for all tiers of government.
Of course, yes.
And if you look at the intervention that is going on now, it's not to the federal people, but across board, just Nigerians. And that's why having that and then improving on our own sources of the application of our own activity in agriculture will help. It's not too much, sir. Yesterday in the argument, Monguno, in your argument yesterday, you quoted certain sections of what was expected of us as to what we are expected to do, and you gave the example of Ethiopia and other countries that are doing much more. 10%. So if you look at it, this is too small. But because of our enormous challenges, let's leave it at this, because the federal government or the post-consulting revenue have a lot of, you take it into ecological and other areas of need. That's why this small percentage is much.
No, I know, sir. I know. Why I'm saying this is to have a second thought. Take, for instance, just of recent, the issue of security trust fund was being challenged by the River State governor. And the court ruled that anything that is not embedded in the constitution, we cannot take money from there to service any other agency or ministry. So what if we do this as being challenged?
Well, we address our challenges as we move on.
Okay.
That's what I would beg of. Let's address our challenges. It should be an issue and concern, just like the security. Forget about the political aspect that people go to demonstrate and do other things. But he knows, and whoever in Nigeria knows that we need to intervene collectively to put our hands in deck to solve this issue. It's not about politics. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, our chairman. My honorable colleagues, I remain Honorable Dr. Ajibola Muraina. I represent the Barapa Central, Barapa North Federal Constituency. I'm from Oyo State, sir. Now, my concern, sir, is this item 2.3 is 0.5% of profit after tax of each commercial bank in Nigeria. I wonder, sir, do we have the right to impose this type of thing on a commercial bank that is a business entity on its own? 2, have we consulted with them to have their buy-in? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. If I can answer him, okay.
Okay, so you can give the answer, sir.
Okay.
But before your intervention, there's entity in terms of what is, so we're supposed to be giving back to society. And the commercial bank will only strive better if our economy is moving fine and we have a lot of security, including this food security. As for me, it's not too much. it is the responsibility of Parliament to give our laws that will govern. We are taking that one as community service, which is part of what is required of any organization. They are doing the business because you created an act for them, for the enable environment to operate. If the act and the laws are not there for them to operate, they can't function, let alone make profit. Your intervention, before.
Yes, well, with regard to my intervention is third point, where we are charging businesses to fund education. So mutatis mutandis, we can do same for agriculture, which is the mainstay of for our economy. What is good for the goods is equally good for the gender.
General principle of the one year we are supposed to have done this one and during the general principle of the second reading. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Fatou Balushola, member representing Adekiti, airport the fellow to federal constituency. So I just want an inclusion of that is clause 2 to be number 5, Roman 5. I want an inclusion of deduction from an export levy being paid by the exporters of 5% to be added to this development fund. Thank you, sir.
I don't know, because on that one for the exporters, I'm not in that business, but I do know there is a percentage that is supposed to be under the what they call CSLs or something like that.
They pay something to Central
They
Bank.
pay a certain percentage
To Central Bank, sir.
to Central Bank.
Yes.
Thank you. But in that Act 2, there's stipulated as to how the money should be utilized. So let us not just by force majeure do things that will have issues, sir. I would beg colleagues to allow us to make progress, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. My name is Wale Raji once again. I represent the Federal constituency of Lagos State. I want to draw our attention to provision 2(4), and that is 5%. That is sources of fund, under sources of development fund. 5% of the duty levied on imported rice, wheat, sugar, milk, poultry, and fish, etc. I want to draw attention particularly to the levy, a duty levied on sugar. Right now, there is sugar development fund, funds being sourced from levy on imported sugar into the country. So we should avoid conflict here, because sugar is also a subset of agriculture, and already there is a levy on imported sugar that goes to sugar development fund, in the country. Thank you.
The language, sir, on the Raji, very well. This 5% is not on the total sum, but on the levy that have been charged. This is what it say, 5% of duty levied on whatever is accruable in that. You take 5% of it. It's not that you're charging another extra 5%, no. It's from the accrued sum that you're taking this 5%, which for me is okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I think what he's trying to say, what he's trying, I just want to explain so that we have a clearer picture of what it is. There is Sugar Development Council, which they take levy and fund the council.
Yes.
And what I want to understand, Honorable, in that council also, We have research institutes that have mandate to do with the sugar research. And I was trying to understand whether this council is giving money on the research on the sugar varieties in the country. I tried to find out, there was none. So I think this percentage, to me, it will take care of that, to fund the research aspect of that. Because they don't fund, like in the rice levy, I know that 3 billion was given to one of my institutions to develop the rice.
That is working very fine. If you listen to channels this morning, Governor of Bayelsa was on air, and he was saying that from the research so far, in Bayelsa, he can produce rice 3 times in a year. It means then we're making progress. And we continue with this kind of program, we'll be able to stop importation and then improve on a virtually every part of the country. You can get into cocoa, palm kernel, and whatever, and would be good to go.
Mr. Chairman, there is another window I think we should consider now. We have the fertilizer companies, Dangote, Indorama, and
They didn't mention your own company. That's what my brother is saying.
Your Excellency, these 3 companies, let me just explain it. We are now net exporter of urea. What is currently happening now in the country? You know, we have blending plants, and urea is part of the ingredients to provide NPK to our teeming farmers. But what is obtained nowadays, because they have window to export at their own will without any restriction. So because of the foreign exchange component, so the urea now is giving more preference for export than the local production to our blending company. So we must try to ensure that by putting this levy to them, these 3 companies, because it's a very big volume to these 3 companies, so that let it be in this.
Yeah, being watched on stream live, I guess. This law is not to stop Dangote and other.
No, it's not to stop them.
Thank you.
Ensure that they contribute.
Thank you.
To the
all
farmers.
Companies. I think we should make progress. Sorry, sir. Thank you, sir. Experience. I don't want to go into that. You are the one to pacify us. Thank you. Close 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Observation? How do you do observation in Bill's consideration? There's no observation in Bill's consideration.
Mr. Chairman, this is a very vital point that I want to make here.
This is?
It's a very vital point that I want to make here. Clause 9, 9B.
Okay, 9. We are on 9 now.
9B. Approve the annual budget estimate of the pound.
Approve?
I think the annual budget estimate of the pound. I think we're trying to give our own powers to the board. So the ideal provision here is to ratify annual budget estimate of the fund for presentation before the National Assembly.
Maybe instead of approve, say consider.
Okay.
You delete the word approve to to consider, because the approval should come to the parliament naturally. I agree to what he's saying, because it can be subject to abuse. That's what they consider. The board should first consider before now the parliament approve. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
9 as amended. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Property reporters are requesting that members use their mics and also speak out their names so that.
You are the one complaining.
Yes, sir.
You are the one complaining.
No, the property reporters are complaining, not me.
Okay.
Yeah. Members should
Okay,
use
the
their
last
mics.
contribution was done by Honorable Manusoro.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I think what is worth doing is worth doing well. I am not trying to, because
your constituency.
my name is Munir Babatan Agundi. I represent Kumbota Federal Constituency of Kano State. Mr. Chairman, we are trying to help the country to address issues. And when I raise my hand, look at the issue of research. We have been saying that research is suffering because no funding. And is there any representation from the research in this board, which will, because it is only when you have somebody
I thought these are institutions under your care and purview. So if you have any genuine, you are not conversed, we are not supposed to go into the second reading. We are not doing that. So you now say, in this amend AB, that's all. Just as advised by Honorable Muto. So you want inclusion of who?
Agricultural Research Council, ARCN, to be a board member so that they can address research, which is fundamental in agriculture. Without research, nobody is going to progress anything. That is my opinion.
TJ, allow it to pass.
My own is, thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman. I respect colleagues. My name is Tijani Kairi Ismail. I respect the good people of Fellow of our federal constituency of Kwara State. So mine is, in the case of Third Fund is being established to cover up all the entire federal institution. When we said Agricultural Development Fund, I believe all the clauses here, we covered both research, both sugar, both whatever, since it's an agricultural development fund. If we are now trying to say amendment on agricultural research or whatever, I don't think it's necessary, sir, because these have covered everything without us overflogging these issues. Let this bill move so the neighbors face other issues of the day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thought he's asking for the inclusion of that particular institution into membership of the board. That's what he's doing, and it's in order, because they will be the one to possibly guide. Okay. I guess that's what we are. That's why I thought it's in order. Can somebody second that amendment? Yes, sir. That.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent Lagos Mainland Federal Constituency. I stand to second the motion as moved by Honorable Muniru, inclusion of the board membership.
Use the appropriate word. His Excellency, Mr. Speaker.
Zakaria, come back.
Thank you. So 3 as amended. Those in favor, aye. Thank you. 9, carried. As amended. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. Plus 20. 21. Plus 22. 23. 24. Plus 25. Plus 26. 26? Yes, I'm runner.
Thank you. Thank you, our chairman. I remain Honorable Dr. Ajibola Muraina. I represent Ibarapa Central Akwa North Federal Constituency. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, I'm from Oyo State. May I respectfully call the attention of the House to the first paragraph there. Board means the governing board of the fund established under Section 2 of this Act. The appropriate thing, with due respect, sir, appears to will have been to amend it to read Section 3 of this Act.
Yes, sir.
Because it was Section 3 that established the Act.
So
I so move for amendment, sir.
Seconder. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am Honorable Ifajimo, representing Ebado North Mekwa from Federal Constituency and from Ogun State. I stand to second the amendment as moved by Honorable Murana. I so second.
Those in favor of the amendment say aye. Against say nay. That's it. 26 as amended. Carried. 27 carried. Schedules. Explanatory memoranda. Long title. Thank you. Ormoni, I didn't want to indict you, but I thought this is an indictment on you directly because this is a recommittal. So it was given to you. Yes? I guess it's your committee. Thank you. Respected colleagues, the third bill to consider is for an act to establish the Federal College for Education, bringing work to Jigawa State to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction, and training of technology, applied sciences, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and for later matters. I now invite the leader to give a synopsis of the bill.
Mr. Chair and my dear colleagues, Comrade Peter Hyonzeji Akwantasin, MNI, representative of the great people of Akukwedo Federal Constituency. Mr. Chair, this bill is pretty straightforward. It's an establishment bill that seeks to establish College of Education in Plenary Jigawa State for the purpose of offering courses in various fields of endeavor, as stated here. I seek the cooperation of our dear colleagues to give it expeditious consideration. I so do, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chair.
It is an educational bill for the purpose of establishing academic institution to improve the learning and then create more opportunity for more students, especially in Nigeria. Plus one, two.
One, sir.
Plus one, the long title.
Yes, that one. Jima Ibrahim Olajide is my name, Lagos Mail and Vera Constituency. I just want clarification because in the long title, what I have there is Binawa. But in the consideration of the items by items, we have Biriniwa. Which one is correct?
Birinawa.
Eh?
Birinawa.
Okay, so we should correct everything to Birinawa.
Thank you.
Okay.
Plus 3. Plus 4. 6. Plus 7. Plus 8. Plus 9. Plus 10. Plus 11. Plus 12. Plus 13. Plus 15. Plus 16. Plus 17. Plus 18. 19. Plus 20. Schedules. 23. Okay, explanatory memoranda. Long title. Thank you. My respected colleagues, the fourth bill to consider is for an act to repeal the Federal College Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Act 2010 and enact the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Bill to amend, among other things, expand the jurisdiction of the area courts to entertain both civil and criminal matters. And for the matter, now invite the leader to give the synopsis of the bill.
Mr. Chair, my dear colleagues, once again, Comrade Peter and Health to say, I represent Akoko Federal Constituency. Mr. Chair, this bill seeks to simply expand the jurisdiction of area courts in the Federal Capital Territory to include, criminal matters, in addition to the civil that they currently entertain. The essence is to reduce the burden on the high courts that are currently overburdened by the plethora of cases that they are entertaining as a result of the area courts not currently, entertaining criminal issues. So it's in a bid to make the whole process of justice delivery much easier in the Federal Capital Territory.
Thank you. I guess this is an executive bill. Thank you. Plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, 4, 5, plus 6, plus 7, plus 8, plus 9, 10, plus 11, plus 12, plus 13, plus 14, plus 15, plus 16, plus 17, 18, plus 19, plus 20, plus 21, plus 22, plus 23, plus 24, plus 25, plus 27, plus 28, plus 29, plus 30, plus 31, plus 32, plus 33, plus 34, plus 35, plus 36, plus 37, plus 38, plus 39, plus 40, plus 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. Explanatory memoranda, long title. My respected colleagues, the next bill to consider is for an act to repeal the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs ARCAP N113 Resolution Nigeria 2004 and another Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Bill to broaden the scope and function of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, add more value to foreign missions, and provide for the powers to conduct courses of instruction and learning and create an academic board to award postgraduate diploma and master's degree in international relations, diplomatic practices, and foreign matters. I now invite Honorable Yusuf Buba Yakubu to give the synopsis of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Yusuf Buba Yakubu. I represent Gombe Federal Constituency from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
Thank you.
The National Institute of International Affairs was established in 1961, and since it was established, the Act has never been amended. The institute has become obsolete, and this is a very important institute that is supposed to promote scientific study of international policy. And for every country to develop and to conquer the world, its international policy is very key So this institute is supposed to research and work on the international policy of Nigeria so as to update the government and the people of Nigeria on daily basis what is happening all over the world so that our international policies will be updated to meet up with the current trend that is going on all over the world. Mr. Chairman, countries that knows the importance of their international policies put a lot of value and a lot of resources to make sure that their policies are being updated on daily basis. For example, China, Mr. Chairman, the president himself is the chairman of his Institute of International Affairs because of the importance of conquering the world through soft power diplomacy, because it is not about nuclear power now. The world conquered other countries through soft power diplomacy, where they influence to change their cultures, they influence to bring in their investors into your country and tap from your vast resources. So this institute, Mr. Chairman, has been abandoned for a long time. The infrastructures are decayed. In fact, if you go look at the budget allocation to the institute, it is nothing to write home about. And that is what is telling on our embassies today all over the world. When our diplomats go out to serve for 3 years in the embassies, they are supposed to come back to the country to be trained in such institutes for a period of time so that they will be updated to meet up with the current reality. But that is not the case presently, Mr. Chairman, because most of our diplomats today will lobby to even stay for 10 years serving outside the shores of the country, while the institute that is supposed to train them is completely dead. So this bill seeks to achieve the repackaging of the National Institute of International Affairs so that it will meet up with the current trend all over the world in terms of international affairs of the country and its functionality. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable Buba, thank you very much for the synopsis. I would just want to draw the attention of colleagues who will allow the bill, but they have to go back and on the numbering. There are a lot of mistakes. So you should take cognizance of that one. But we'll pass it as you've given us, but make sure you do the cleaning before the transmission. Thank you.
Sir, in addition, sir, where we have Nigeria, you should put Nigerian.
Thank you. Plus 1, 2, and you will see from 2 is moving fine. From 3, on page 3, you see it functions as 2, and then the other as 2. Then plus 4, plus 5, 5, plus 6, 7, 7, you know, somewhere where you are having your recommendations from page 12, you start seeing the differential. You are putting 7 here and then you're having 8 there. Thank you. And then if you go to page 13, it's the same thing. But on your own honor, we are doing that. Thank you. So which one do I call now? 7, 8, 8, 9, 10. And you didn't want us to read page 15. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. If you look at clause 21 on page 25, it gives me clause 1 on the Principal Act. 11. The same thing for 22 is clause 12 on the Principal Act. So you have to do a lot of cleaning. Please, let the president know return to us that we didn't do the right thing. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, interpretation, the schedules, long title. On your honor, we did this. Please. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. We'll depart to Plenary to report progress. Are you sleeping on duty?
Now I was having a tete-a-tete with the whip. Mr. Chair, my dear colleagues, I move that this committee revert to plenary. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Acting Whip.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent the Gospel Land Federal Constituency. I stand to second the motion as moved by the leader. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Against, say nay. That's it. House is to battle plan to report progress. My dear respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report on a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Education, ANCPA, to take over the assets and liabilities, including the staff of Kogis College of Education, ANCPA, to provide for training, reading instructions in every aspect of education and such other fields of applied learning relevant to needs of development of education in Nigeria, matters of administration and discipline of students and volunteer matters. Approved clauses 1 to 33, 31, the schedule, long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. If I may ask, I don't know who is from ANCPA here. Halims, because if you ask him to take over assets and liability, I thought you should have been take over assets. Not liability. I don't know, we have approved, but just on its control, only the year. You have to take including the liability. That may be the leg that he will have his bill suffered. The state should take their liability if they want to access. Eh? Do you know the liability? Well, thank you. I would just wanted further explanation in the event he is here, but there is no here. There's nothing we can do. The House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report on the bill for an act to establish National Agriculture Development Fund for the purpose of providing funding for agricultural development in Nigeria and for related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 2 as amended, clauses 1, 2, 3 as amended, clauses 4 to 8, clause 9 as amended, clauses 10 to 25, clause 26 as amended, and clause 27, the schedule, the long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. My respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Education, Birniwa, Jigawa State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instructions, and training in technology, applied sciences, art and social sciences, humanities, and management and foreign matters, and approve clauses 1 as amended, clauses 2 to 23, the schedule, the long title, and the explanatory memoranda of the report. My respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the bill for an act to repeal the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Act 2010 and enact the Federal Capital Territory Abuja Area Courts Bill to, among other things, expand the jurisdiction of the area courts to entertain both civil and criminal matters, and for related matters, approve clauses 1 to 54, the long title, the explanatory memoranda of the report. My respected colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs on a bill for an act to repeal the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Act Cap N1123 Laws of Federation of Nigeria 2004 and enact the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Bill to broaden the scope and function of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs and more value to foreign missions, and add more value to foreign missions, and provide for the power to conduct courses of instruction and learning, and create an academic board to award postgraduate diploma and master's degree in international relations, diplomatic practice, and related matters, approve clauses 1 to 38, and schedule the long title and the explanatory memoranda of the report. Leader, move for the adoption of the report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues. Comrade Peter Onyozoje Akpatasin, MNI. I move that the reports of the Committee of the Whole be adopted by this House. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Acting whip, even though the whips are available.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My name is Jima Abdurrahim Olajide. I represent the Gospel and Vera constituency. I stand to second the motion as moved by the leader. Thank you.
Olajide, how sweet is power?
I what?
How sweet is power?
I know. I cannot say. I've not tasted it.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it. The adjournment of the House tomorrow, Tuesday, 11 a.m. next week.
Tuesday is 15th. Mr. Speaker, and my dear colleagues, I am Comrade Peter Onyozoje Akpatasin, MNI. I represent the great people of Akoko-Edo Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, after a very successful day, I would like to move that this House do adjourn to 11 o'clock of Tuesday, the 15th of this month. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
You still have to answer the name? I'm asking whether you still want to answer the name of the acting chief whip.
Yes, just to conclude my job.
I'm not part of that coup. I'm not part of that coup. Monguno, second motion.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martin Momuronganza Federal Constituency of Borno State. I second the motion for adjournment to the 15th of this month, Tuesday by 11 a.m.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. The ayes have it. House is hereby adjourned to Tuesday, 15th of February, 11 a.m.